everybody, my name is Quinn and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about how to pick the next book that you read, whether you have a big TBR or you just kind of want to go out and buy a new book but you don't know what to buy. I have tips for all of you, so let's just get right into all of the tips that I have. Tip number 1 is to ask a friend for a recommendation. Now this is great for 2 reasons. One, because you might end up reading a book that you never would have picked out yourself and you might end up loving it and you might have never picked that book up if it wasn't for your friend. And number 2 is that now you have something to talk to your friend about, and sharing a passion for books is always a great thing. So ask a friend for a recommendation, you might be surprised at what you find, and then you have something great to talk about afterwards. Tip number 2 is for those of you who maybe have a bigger TBR shelf, and that is to pick the book that's been on your TBR shelf the longest. That's book that's just been collecting dust. I promise you, if you read it, you will feel super accomplished and super motivated to read. So pat yourself on the back, gold star for you. You go, Gun Coco, you go. Tip number 3 is Goodreads. Now I know a lot of you probably already know what Goodreads is, but Goodreads is a website where you can go on and read the synopses of thousands of different books. You can kind of see if the summary is something that you would like, and you can also read a lot of reviews that other people have written to see whether or not the book is good. There's nothing worse than picking up a book that's bad and then realizing you could have avoided that if you had just read a couple of reviews. So definitely look on Goodreads, read the synopses, and definitely look at the reviews because that is a great indicator of whether or not the book is going to be good or not. Another great thing about Goodreads is that you can go on and look at the books that you've already read, and Goodreads will have a section at the bottom saying that based on that book that you've read, these are the books that you would like next. So that's kind of a great feature, so definitely check those books out as well. My 4th tip is bookoutlet.com. Now this is not sponsored by Book Outlet in any way, but say that you have no TBR or nothing on your TBR is catching your interest. Book Outlet is a great place because you can take a chance on a new book without spending a lot of money. There's so many cheap books on bookoutlet.com. You do have to hunt a little bit to find some good books, but there are a lot of books on Book Outlet. There's so many to choose from, so many cheap books to choose from. So if you're kind of on the fence about a book, you can buy it on Book Outlet, kind of take a chance without feeling like you're wasting your money if you end up not liking it. The only kind of downside is shipping, but otherwise Book Outlet is a great cheap way to buy books if you're not sure of what book you want to read next. Tip number 5 is a TBR jar. Now this is for those of you who have a big TBR, you just don't know where to start. You put all of the books on your TBR on little slips of paper, so all the books that you have not read on little slips of paper, you fold them up, you put them in a jar, and every time that you need a book to read, you just pick a little slip of paper out of the jar and then you read that book. Now this is not my idea, I've seen it on BookTube a billion times, but it's a good way to tackle your TBR if you're just so undecisive and you don't know what to read next. And the last tip is BookTube. There are so many spoiler-free reviews on BookTube, and you can really hear whether or not people loved or they hated a book. If they loved it, then maybe you're more inclined to go buy it, and if they hate it, then maybe you'll, remove that from your cart. But it's a great way to hear from people that you trust whether or not they really liked a book. And you can also really understand what books are popular right now just by looking at BookTube and see what all the hype is about. It's just a great way to listen to reviews, and it really does help me when I'm ordering books. So definitely go on BookTube, see what everyone's talking about, and then pick your books off of other people's recommendations. So those are all the tips that I have for choosing your next book. I hope that some of them helped you. Please leave a comment down below on how you choose your next book. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye guys.